you? What do you do?
Hello.
She's the OG.
Yeah, right here. I was looking around the room and I was like, I think Veronica's the OG people team member. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Susan.
Yeah.
Susan. Yeah.
Winning the game of Survivor. Yeah. I'm Tina Parker. I'm VP of Epidemiology. I'm a scientist here at Grail. I came to Grail. I was a consultant about 30 days in, and I joined the company about 90 days into the birth of Grail. So definitely has seen a lot. I think there's been 5 CEOs, and a lot of people come and go. And it's actually so amazing on LinkedIn to just track like the touch of Grail and how people have come, and now there are a lot of people that have started companies.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like the technology is carrying on, but yeah, we'll talk more about kind of everything I've been doing. But I'm so happy to be here with all of you people. I thought about ultimately what is a company? It's the people that are doing the work, and to be the people that are managing and hurting the people that are doing the work is like some of the most important work. So thank you guys so much for everything that you do to keep us able to work on this important mission, and we'll talk more about what's happening in Med Affairs later.
Absolutely. So those are amazing intro. As I said, incredible leaders, right, team? So just thinking about all the work that each of you lead, whether it's cybersecurity, compliance, medical affairs, when you think about impact at Grail, what does that mean to you, personally or professionally?
I can start. We are so lucky to work here, and for all of us to have kind of a stake and ownership in this one vision of this test. I mean, imagine hearing the story of like the very inception of Grail. When I first heard about Grail in 2016. I was working at academia, and I heard about a company that wanted to create a blood test that would detect any kind of cancer, and that was definitely like pretty far-fetched at the time. But like that is what we've done. We've developed this test. We're 10 days out and sharing very important data with the world about how well it does that. And I mean, can't believe that the reaction of the world is not going to be like, we are now, like you've now shown us this data, we are now ready to really embrace this technology and to think about screening for cancer in a whole different way. So I just love working somewhere where we all have, like, and I didn't have that in academia. I was working on cancer, I got to have all this time preventing cancer and studying cancer, researching cancer, but we didn't have a product. And I found that that's why I was really drawn to working at a company where we have a product. We get to come to all hands and we get to talk to these patients that have benefited from our product. And some of those stories, I mean, we've all heard them, but like the guy that's walking his dog in Colorado, and he's like, we found a gallbladder. I mean, we found these like incredibly deadly cancers early. And the firefighter who we found early stage esophageal cancer, he had no symptoms, and they just cut it out. He didn't even have radiation chemotherapy. Like that is just absolutely.
Even the doctor's response. Remember, the doctor was like,
I've never seen this before. I know. So it's so exciting. So this phase is to get our data out there and get our data understood. What I work on now, which is really interesting, is kind of the status quo, reacting against that idea. And I've learned that I feel like it's a little bit like a religious missionary or something. It's like we're telling the story and people don't believe it, and like some people immediately believe it, and those people, it's great, you get to bring them along with you, but it's really special to be at an organization where we really all have one shared, very palpable mission, and it's to get this test to as many people as possible, because we know that the broader the reach of this test and the more we can scale this test, that the more the more people we will save, the more families will not be absolutely devastated by this disease. So it's a pretty special mission. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I love that. Kathleen, I know you shared some of your why, but when you think about impact at Grail, what does that mean to you?
So I'll speak about it from the perspective of my team. As legal risk managers, we see our impact as making sure that we stand up for that integrity, trust, and confidence value. The test is only as good as its reputation. The belief that the patients have in the product, both from a technical perspective as well as further that aspect of, the, value of the work that we do.
Yeah, that was a beautiful story. Thank you. What about you, Abhi?
I'll just build on what
Yeah.
and said. For me, being an impact is basically being a steward of trust. So our patient have really shared that data, and it's more than just data to me. It's about patient dignity, and not just being my whole team, by the way. Here, shout out to Simon.
Yes.
But we all have made a commitment to protect people, our patient, our business partners, you all are responsible, and that's the impact that we bring to the company.
Yeah, I want to build on that theme around impact. Your teams, they often work on technical, scientific, regulatory challenges. How do you help employees, even outside of your areas, really see the human impact of the work that you all are doing?
Especially from cyber standpoint, it's very hard for people to relate to what we do as a company, as a mission, to why is cyber coming in between all of this. The reality is that the commitment that the mission that the company has, which is detecting cancer early and then leading to saving lives, that element is very near and dear to the mission statement that cyber wants to follow and commit to. Keeping that trust, giving the assurance to our patients speaks for the brand value in the marketplace that we work for, to strive for every day. And to us, it's beyond just a system or a data point in that journey. Privacy is one of the ways that a patient can be harmed, and we want to make sure that should not be exist for our company to fail that commitment that we've made to our patients.
Absolutely.
So for us, it's about human condition, being with simple life.
Love it.
I definitely feel sometimes like, the legal team is like behind the Wizard of Oz's curtain. People don't have a good sense into what goes into our risk assessments, what laws and regulations are we looking at, how are we operating. But I try to frame it, the way that we have impact on employees is by helping employees make better decisions. I always think of us as a decision-making tool because there's nothing black and white. Very few employees are doing things in a way that is inappropriate or risky because they intend to. It is often, lack of knowledge of something or lack of understanding of the impact. And so I see my goal as trying to help and empower employees with the tools to make better decisions. What are the things that I should be considering when doing the following activity? Who are my resources? Who can I go to get those answers, those questions answered? And what are the controls that exist that are in place to sort of make sure that things are being done correctly? And then how do I prove that if I ever needed to? So those are sort of the sets of tools that we're trying to, as we, move forward into a new era with Pathfinder, to make sure that we are prepared for the additional government scrutiny, patient scrutiny, partner scrutiny, and most importantly, the scrutiny that we should have of ourselves, the standards that we should hold ourselves to.
Love it.
Well, I've had the gallery test twice, and I'm due for my third, and I'm gonna have it at the employee health fair.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be awesome. And also, one of my very favorite benefits of Grail is my friends and family code that's sent to me, and I share it liberally. I have many, many important conversations with people about cancer risk, about cancer screening, about this new technology, because I have that code, and then people get the test, and they're so glad that they got the test. So I think about that, and I think about what Abby said, and what Catherine just said, is like, yeah, like I want my data to be protected against cyber, security threats. I want to make sure that everything is buttoned up legally, for me and my husband and my friends and my family, like, absolutely. My role is really to then take that, like, firm basis of science and data and integrity and security, and then I can go out and do my job, which is to go out to the world and talk to them about this test, and talk to them about cancer screening and how we can just test securely for that. So it's absolutely the basis for.
I love that. Thinking about this people team and all we have to do to really pour into the organization for it to continue to be successful. When you're thinking about, you know, your team and the success that you need to have in the very near future or long-term future, where do you see the people team has the biggest opportunities to support that? Is that growing your leaders? Is that helping you build culture? Is that making sure you have the right people at the right time executing on the right goals? Where do you see those opportunities for the people team to really, you know, support your team in their success?
I'll start with this one.
Yes.
I think because compliance, privacy, and legal issues tend to be, you know, as you said, very sort of difficult to understand. What I would love for the people team, and I've been starting this process with Allison and others on her team, is making people understand the value, the communication, more broadly about the ways that compliance and legal impact, you know, their work here. Understanding careful communications and when you should be talking about data that you may have received or that you may have overheard, and sort of putting those standards in place so that we become stewards of the company's value set, I think is really important. And HR and compliance are very aligned there in understanding that the code of conduct, yes, it's written down and it's on a website somewhere, but it's a living idea of how we should behave. It has 12 different aspects. So like, oh, do I have a conflict of interest because, you know, I'm gonna go on a board potentially with, you know, that might be an issue. But the ways that we can connect to employees so that they can make that real, and part of their background thinking about it.
I love that. I love that.
I'll build on what Kathy said, you know, and probably you and I will feel the same pressure every day. You know, cybersecurity is not one person's or one team's job, right? So we together are in it, and you know, HR can be a message of building that culture of cybersecurity, so that you know, everybody becomes a champion, and that really makes us successful. Just like Kathy, you said on compliance, you know, I guess we are in the same boat. There cannot be enough people to do the right thing, and share people from.
I think, having been through many eras with Grail under very different circumstances, so small little startup of, you know, 30 or 40 people, and then we grew really fast through excellent recruiting to like 150 to 200 people, but we were all in the office 5 days a week. And then we started really hiring remotely, and then we had COVID, then we've had like all these different, you know, changes, and now we're pretty distributed, you know, geographically as a company. And like what I really see the people team as like being the common thread that can like maintain stability, but also just like what you need to keep a bunch of people under those circumstances working together closely. So like great communication and communication about just everything is always, I get so much amazing information from you all and from Trish's team. And then, yeah, like the cultures, like the things that we're still kind of grappling with about return to office in Menlo Park, how to keep people really connected when they're remote, like when we don't have budget to bring this team together. I think we all agree after you spend actual time with other human beings and get your cup filled on connection and building trust, like you just work so much better. So I think we still have challenges with a lot of those things, and I know you all are on it, and we're figuring out how to, you know, in this new world order with different rules about how people are working in person or remotely, like building culture under those circumstances.
I love that. And switch gears a little bit and I have some specific questions for each of you. I'm gonna start with you, Tina. We are in an exciting time. Pathfinder 2 is on the horizon. That news is creeping up. It's gonna be such great news for our organization. It's gonna fuel us in so many exciting ways. You know, I wanna know from you, like, how do you see this science continuing to inspire and energize our employees? But most importantly, where can employees really feel connected to the outcome of this data?
So Pathfinder, so one of the peculiarities or just realities of doing medical research is that you have to wait until one of these kind of approved venues, which for us is gonna be the ESMO Oncology meeting in Berlin on October 18th, to share all this data.
Put it on your calendar.
Yeah,
That's a
so-
great day.
So it's gonna be a great day, but it's funny, because of course, many of us have seen the data so that we can prepare all the slides and prepare things. It was pretty exciting over the last 6 months to look at all that data, because again, this is the first time that anybody's really trialed this technology in a large group of people, and it's just a really different technology than a single cancer screening test, so we're still really grappling, and we had some late nights. Clients just working on like, what's the right terminology to explain this idea, to explain this data? Like, we actually really struggled over a lot of the kind of communication and messages, because we're doing this for the first time. We have no playbook, we have nobody who's done this before us, like, we're really innovating for the first time, so that is so exciting.
Yeah.
That is so exciting, but it's also just, it's got a lot of twists and turns to it, so it's just gonna be super exciting, but I guess it's just interesting that that's how medical research works, that you have to wait for these embargoes to be lifted for you to share the data with people that have been working on it for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, so, but it's, we've said qualitatively that the data are better than the first time that we looked in a small population of 6,000 people. This is in 25,000 people, so, I mean, it's just, again, it's gonna be really, really gratifying for all of us to feel like that this data is gonna be out there, it's gonna show people like what this test can do. And I just can't wait for it to be in your inbox, this week and that weekend, so that you can really look at it yourself, but.
It is very exciting, and I think if you are not super close to the data, it's easy to feel like, was I a part of that? And so when you think about just the impact that all of our collective, our team has had on this, how can they feel connected to that data you developed?
I mean, I think everyone should take huge ownership, and there's gonna be a lot of great collateral that comes out. I mean, we've already had, like, Josh posted some stuff about, like, what to expect from this trial. I mean, this is very exciting data, but this isn't even, like, the big data that we're, like, gonna be most excited about, which is gonna be the NHS gallery data that will be.
Good to know. More
Next
good
summer,
news on the way.
so this study, just for context, this study was conducted in the United States in 35,000 people aged 50 and older who, screening happens in people that don't have any signs or symptoms of cancer. So these are just healthy people walking around and don't have any reason to think that they have cancer. The major goals of this research was to understand the safety of the test, make sure people got worked up and we could find these cancers with the screening test, and to understand how it performed in the United States healthcare context. The NHS gallery data is, it's, if you can imagine, more exciting than that. It's conducted in the National Health Service of the UK, which, very importantly, that's a closed system. Everybody gets a healthcare in the NHS because that's how your insurance works in England. So it's much better to do research in that kind of a situation, because it's not the Wild West of the American healthcare system where you like quit your job and then you're gonna go get healthcare, or you move away and you're getting healthcare from another system. Like, it's much harder to find out what happens to people. This study in the UK population is really, really tight because it's conducted all in the same system. There we're looking at, did this test reduce late stage cancer in people? And that's what people really wanna know. Like, is this test gonna protect me from a devastating metastatic cancer diagnosis? So that happens next summer. We will be sharing data about that. That's what data people really wanna know. Like, how does this test help patients? So what we're sharing with Pathfinder 2 is really just saying, how many cancers did this test detect? What kind of cancers were they? What's the sensitivity of the test? And it's super, super exciting data because we've never been able to share that at scale before. But it's kind of a prelude to, what do we think this test can do to reduce, late stage cancer in patients.
I
So
love
people
that.
should feel like, you said, like, I don't know, sometimes I think back to reading my kids those stories about Richard Scarry's Busy Town, and you like, look with your kids, and you're like, look, this is where the people like go through all the steps, like,
Yeah.
everybody at this company did all the
All of
little
it.
steps to be able to bring this technology
Yeah.
to the public, and
Yeah.
so everybody needs to feel like hugely championed and have ownership of that.
Yeah.
We will definitely be rolling out, events for people to really engage with the data and ask questions, and if
Yeah.
they really wanna understand, all the statistics and things, like happy to sit with any teams or any people to do that too.
I love it. I'm so excited. I can't wait for
It's gonna be great.
ESMO. That's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be great.
Well, since you're going to me.
Yes, yes.
I can talk about how compliance and privacy view the way that you can go out and talk to the world
Yes,
in general
yes.
about this data.
Yes.
So two sort of things to think about, obviously, a lot of this data as it's ongoing is very proprietary and confidential. However, we do have approved social media. We have processes and the social media policy, we're gonna be, making sure we reiterate that and communicate to employees that you can, like, follow, share, don't comment, don't add any to it, but lots of ways that we can generate interest and excitement, about this data in a careful way. Always being mindful of the fact that because you work at the company, whether you understand it or not, or heard something directly or not, you really want to be very careful with this beautiful data set that we have. You may actually have more insider information than you even know. So again, getting back to employees' decision-making tools, you can always go to your people team to understand, is it okay for me to send this, piece of information outside the company? But we are super excited about the idea that employees will be, liking and sharing our, allowed announcements and forwarding, parts of the, website to, to just get people excited about it. So just inside the training policy, and I'm always here to answer any questions anyone has about what you can and can't do. But it is an exciting time to be here.
I love it. So just further diving deeper into that, Abhi, right? Just thinking about this Pathfinder 2 results, how can we balance this incredible innovation while also protecting information and building trust with our employees and our patients?
Yeah, our cybersecurity's commitment, in that journey to Tina and Kathy is that we want Grail to be faster, we want Grail to be reaching farther, we want Grail to maintain trust of our patients, without, hindered by a cybersecurity attack. That's the ultimate, downside of what we do is that, all that goodness that we bring to the society, and then suddenly this bad flash of news that often derail trust of our patients and our customers. So, often cyber comes at the last leg and often looks at as like a roadblock when there's a heavy lifting that is going behind the scenes. I don't know if I've shared this data with him earlier or not, but the team is putting together. We get about 25 million emails every quarter. Right? That's the average number I'm talking about. And about 80% of this is completely junk. About 7% is meaningful. Right? And about 1 million is coming as different types of phishing attacks, ransomware attacks, all different.
Wow.
And the bad actors are trying different ways. You must have seen an announcement coming last Friday, I think, it went down about people getting Google invites, unknowingly. And these are just mischievous ways, bad actors are trying to get to us. And this is, we all know in cybersecurity, our mission is that the bad actor has to be, just be right once, and we have to be right every time.
wanna switch gears into collaboration and culture, right? Culture plays a big role in execution. I'm really curious to hear each of you name one cultural shift or, strength that we have here at Grail, and how do we kind of build on that as we move forward? So, what's a strength that we have here at Grail that you would like to see us building on in terms of culture?
I think the most obvious one is that, everyone here wants to see this test succeed. We all share the same, essential mission of getting our test out there and getting it to patients. So I would love to see more, communication and information that really help people, feel connected, as you said, to that mission, so that, we can just really kind of rest on that shared mission and the trust that we build with each other to work more effectively together. So I guess my answer to that would be make sure that there's enough communication.
That's a great one. What would you say, Abhi?
Wow. I would say, and again, Abhi and I are new, but I love this spirit of innovation, think big, challenge the world, change the world. It's a wonderful quality, and it is also the quality that gives me the most heartburn. And then push boundaries. And as a compliance person, I have to contextualize that in the world of, but we're now selling to TRICARE and we're going to the VA and we want to be a federally reimbursed Medicare and Medicaid product, right? How do you marry those two things together and preserve all of that innovation and think big? And so that is definitely something that I want to work with the people team in terms of finding that right sizing of your approaches to things. And part of that is going to making sure that there's that connection between the legal team and all of the other functions within the company. Because we can only do our job well if we actually know what is going on in each of your functional areas and help you advise, provide advice on that. So that's the piece that I'm working on, and I'm very, honored that you all brought me here to meet as many people as possible, because I don't get enough time sort of outside of my brain and my computer and my CFR regulation.
When I started at Grail, my first day was at San Francisco Airport, because I learned that I was supposed to be an RTP, so my onboarding was in the flight actually. And then, the funny part was the funny part was I saw some people getting booted out. So I was like, I don't want to be left behind on my first day, right?
Yeah.
But why I'm saying that is because, everybody was there. I did some common introductions with software leadership team. And then I was in RTP, met so many people. And then obviously came back to MBK. What I find is that there's a commitment to the purpose that everybody shares in this company. That really ties them all together. And to me, that's a moral compass. We go through different challenges. We all have different priorities and different commitments and timelines. But we all know we have one common mission, one common purpose. And that is what I've done so far.
Thank you. Okay, so looking ahead, right? We're all dreamers here. We're all a part of this incredible innovation. And so when you're thinking about, what's ahead, what trends in our industry do you believe have the biggest impact on our people in the next 2 to 3 years? What are those trends?
We all know what's on our mind.
Yeah.
It's AI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, living in Silicon Valley, obviously we are at a cutting edge. There are many unanswered questions in terms of, can AI do my job? I don't think AI can do my job. So it will take really, really, really a smart person, AI bot.
law school at Stanford, I was working with a professor who is one of the leading biomedical ethics legal scholars in the world. And so I'm always thinking system-wide about the way that healthcare is provided, and maybe not at the best level in the United States and beyond. And so I'm always looking at the big policy and institutional changes that are happening in healthcare. And I think that you often see those trends come from our political discourse. And so we're in a place in the United States where there's just a lot of noise and there's a lot going on. And I think that people have like lost sight of the fact that we have to care for our citizens. We have to figure out how to do that in a way that is less reactive to disease and more preventive. And I think that that is a huge trend that Grail is going to be able to take advantage of, and that we need to make sure that we're thinking about who's getting left behind in that discussion. So I think that Grail eventually getting to the place where we have this test available to the broadest number of people, because actually those are the people who probably need the cancer test the most. So those are the things that I think about on a systems perspective that I don't want us to lose sight of, that I really want us to think about how do we like engage really deeply with those types of questions and grapple with them.
I love that.
Mine is also kind of just thinking about our mission and the reach of our test in the country and the world. And I think that the trends that I'm really interested in how we dovetail with is telemedicine. I think that early detection and preventive healthcare can be delivered well on telemedicine. And I think we all know that getting stuff that done, it's convenience, and it is such a huge part of that. So I've seen there's been a lot of really cool Silicon Valley and other innovations in healthcare that have involved telemedicine and making it really immediately available to people who need it. So I feel like that, coupled with the fact that our test is a blood test, you need to go to Quest or have a phlebotomist, and you don't need like sophisticated equipment to deliver our tests. Like that's a pretty exciting peanut butter and chocolate situation.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So if you could give the people team one challenge or opportunity to lean into in the next year to create real impact, what would that be? Be brave.
Ask me the one question that I didn't get to.
That's okay. What comes to mind for you?
Can I ask
Yeah.
all of you to add one OKR related to cybersecurity?
That's a good one. That's a good one. One opportunity for the people team.
Mine's pretty easy, as I said, like this company is just its people, so it's just keep finding and recruiting those people that just get it, that want to work on this problem, that are gonna, you know, like we have so many amazing employees that are so dedicated, and people that are gonna really join us. Again, and sometimes I feel like I'm a religious missionary. It's like, join us, join us to work on this problem.
Yeah,
like the
absolutely.
recruitment is just, you guys find incredible people that are really good at their jobs and really want to be part of this team, and that's everything.
I love it.
It's so funny because you went straight to recruitment, and in my mind, I went straight to retention and development.
Yes.
I know I really did. I was like, and maybe this is just the selfish me. I was like, okay, I'm here, now what? You know, what next?
Yeah.
And what next after that?
Yeah.
I think some of the things that I've seen that have been so promising, and there's all kinds of things that keep people in jobs and developing well, but I have a friend who's in HR, and they said, you know, people will take a 20% pay cut for a better manager. And so I think really working to make sure, and leadership is not just like people report into me, but just having that influence, you know, and sometimes it's influence without decision making, and sometimes it's influence with no money in your department, and there are so many different ways to be a leader here, I think developing that leadership mentality for every single person in the company, the minute they walk in the door, to help keep people here and continuing to do good work, particularly when it gets tough, because it's gonna be really tough for like a year. We've got so much to do so quickly, and you know, if you're gonna keep good people, you've gotta give them a reason to stay. So that's for me the biggest thing.
Awesome. Definitely work that we have ahead of us, people team, that we're thinking about. I have a last question, and.
Well, I've been doing the same.
Oh,
I asked her, okay.
I thought he was serious about that.
Apparently he was.
He was. I picked that up. Yeah.
Oh my God, stop. I didn't want to.
Nobody can get
They almost got me on that
Like literally, guys, 10 minutes before I walked in here, and I was like, oh my God.
Was it the Amazon one?
It was.
It's Starbucks one.
No, so my son, I shouldn't be paying attention, but my son is in college and he just asked me to order something from Amazon. I ordered it this morning. And then after I clicked, I was like, but this is like real. So.
They got you. They got you.
But that's how bad actors get into your minds. Hackers don't hack systems, they hack people's minds. They go for your sensitive, you know, what really is.
You got me. You got me.
But I'll get you a real Amazon card that will say that you did the right thing.
I love
Not for
it.
everybody else, only for you.
I love it. I have one more for me, and then I'll open it up to folks in the audience. But, you know, Kathy, you just said it. The year that we have ahead of us is one that we're going to be running fast. We're going to be breaking things along the way. It's going to be a stretch of a year, and that's just part of it, right? When you're driving innovation. And so I would love to hear from you all as distinguished leaders in our organization. You know, what inspires you to keep driving this work, and how to stay connected to Grow's mission, especially when it's hard? I think we have a really incredible mission that's easy to get behind, but when you're in the day-to-day, when you're in the thick of it, when you're feeling that heat in the back of your neck, how are you staying grounded to keep driving this forward? And I might be too early for you too.
No, this one's really easy for me because
Yeah.
I don't have the length of time here to pick from 12 or 15 different things. I have a fantastic team. If you guys don't know, Andrea, Carlton, and Nora, they are amazing legal professionals.
Yes, they are.
Amazing human beings. So I would say surround yourself with the people who fill your cup, who are positive, who help you to the extent that you can. Give grace to the people, and there are a few, who annoy you, who make your life more difficult, and maybe even reach out and say, you know, I'm really struggling with something with you, because we're all here just to do our jobs, to try to have those conversations, build those connections, and when things are not working, assume the best intent on the other side, and see how you can give them a little grace and yourself a little bit of grace when you realize that you've been the annoying one.
Yeah, great advice. Anybody else?
Mine was kind of related to what Kathleen said, but I think the way you asked the question was kind of like what motivates you when times are tough, and it's definitely like your team and just being part of a team, and you can't let your team down. You can't drop the ball when your team is depending on you to do something. So it's basically what Kathleen said, like
I love it.
staying connected with your team.
Yep, same.
Same. Get vulnerable. Be honest when things are feeling hard. Find your champions, right? Make sure that you're pouring into your own cup. Those are all takeaways that I just got
And
from
celebrate
that.
those successes.
Yes, celebrate along the way. Anybody have any questions for our amazing panelists?
Yeah, I'm just curious what a peanut butter and chocolate situation is.
Yeah.
Two great things that go great together.
Yeah.
She's obviously too young to know the reference to the commercial.
I know.
I like peanut butter. I like chocolate. It's Reese's.
That's my favorite candy.
I didn't know either.
Two
I
great
missed
My
that.
homework is gonna be
Yeah. I missed that coach role.
There's a I knew exactly what you meant. I knew exactly what you meant.
Great question. Oh,
Can you talk a little bit about the data coming out of ESMO? And you
But I like
mentioned information in our inbox. Can you be any more specific around how employees will actually get the information that's
I
coming in?
think, my understanding is that Tina is gonna be sending out,
Familiar.
she's gonna be sending out, I'm hearing what I want to see, like, advice. I assume there'll be press releases. Oh, yeah, there's definitely press release going out about and, yeah, I think there's gonna be what, LinkedIn will pop off, there's gonna be all sorts of great information.
With instructions about what?
yeah. Yeah. So we can stay compliant.
Guidance about, yeah, but the data that we'll be sharing publicly, that part will be public, so hopefully that data will be imminently shareable. Yes. Given that it's the public data, yep.
Anybody else?
I have a question real quick for Abhi. With all of the bad actors around recruiting and, the fake, the fake faces, the fake voices, all of that kind of stuff, the cybersecurity work you're doing, are y'all taking any of the work that TA has to do into account when you think through that? Because it's getting scary out there.
Yeah, I know, Allison also had a very similar comment earlier. We basically don't have any, we want people to interact with us. I mean, that's why we have the websites there. We probably just make sure that we put a notification there that there are other scammers who are also using a very similar way to use that portal. Unfortunately, every company goes through that risk, not just with,
Okay.
But it may be helpful to have those careful communications and outreach to employees so they understand that these things are happening, so. Compliance and with that.
need to work on that language and put it on the website.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of applicants who were recently scammed.
Yeah.
And they said it was so believable, Gail, but then I started to think about what they were asking and they kind of backed out of the process. So luckily they didn't share the information. But it's so common, but I just keep thinking about the AI, the fake faces, the fake voices. Like, I don't want to accidentally hire a software engineer who's really somebody from North Korea. Like, I'm very fearful of that.
I just read that Google is working this a lot actually.
Yeah.
Because they are recruiting new AI engineers and companies, when they get scammed by AI bots that are we do have inbuilt AI solutions within our email, type of situations, so we are able to detect and detect those. But if somebody's intentionally finding these venues to come after us, just like text, when you get a text of, okay, you are told to pay, you never cross that bridge anyway, so why are you doing that? That's like common sense. We have to keep our antennas on to make sure that we don't react to it or what we see. That's the best way to deal with that.
I see a question over here.
More of a comment, people over there can't see. I just wanted to comment on behalf of the cybersecurity team. I believe that we usually tend to have like the all hands section with just cybersecurity under the shamelessly plug Janet and Dee. We do talk about cybersecurity and we do talk about AI, right? So like all of you know, Sora is popular on TikTok, it's popular everywhere, right? We do have trainings for deepfakes, right? So there are things that we have talked about in the past. I'm not trying to shame anyone, I just wanted to bring awareness to that, and there are signs of whether or not it is AI. The reason why I bring this up, I am a PhD student going through all of this stuff, so I have to shame myself too. Yeah, the reason why I stand up and say this is because, this is something that we need to be aware about. This is something that, Abhi has specifically talked about the entire time, right? We want to have a good collaboration with you all. If you all see me playing pickleball, I can talk to you during pickleball too. But yeah, we do have those kind of discussions with you all. Just make sure to be very aware of your EVA trainings and be aware of those conversations that we have during all hands, because it does come up. It's very common now. I mean, like, you all see it, it's very surface, you make sure you're saying the word.
Do you have any recorded sessions of like discussions you had, or is it just specifically not only just the teachers?
We will have the training, there is a specific episode on how to spot these things. So it teaches you to see the, the boundaries of the lids and how to move and et cetera. It is very practical, and on top of that, it's not just a way of teaching you.
Yeah. We had that at one of our legal team offerings, I think we had a member, either Ed or somebody. Yeah. Yeah.
Was he deep thinking you, Janice? Was he deep thinking you?
Yes, we can share that around again. Yeah, unless like the video is like even more scarier now, it's like created.
Yeah, and we're more than happy to collaborate and bring you more examples, and I think we were also having talks about, should we have a safe word for the company too, right? The voice tone, or the video tone, so much better, and yes, you should have a safe word for your family too.
That is. And I love your message around, it's not just for your protection at Grail. This is happening in your everyday life and ways to be vigilant about that. I also love Abhi's message around, listen, it's not just on the cybersecurity team. We all have to work on this together, be vigilant together, be calling it out, talking about it together, in order for us to really be safe. So really great call out. Any other questions? Yeah.
I have two things on my mind. First of all, where do you guys think we are on the spectrum of adapting to this change of expectation? Because I come from a company that went through FDA, and it was work to get people to go, oh man, can I get reimbursement when we do this? Where do you guys think we are? And I know there's different perspectives, but how are we trending towards getting comprehension across the board?
I mean, I think in my world, we're right on track for where we should be. There are, it's very hard to be ahead of schedule because, the company has to go through that process of understanding how does this impact me in my role, in my day-to-day, as well as from the broader corporate perspective. So I actually feel pretty good about where we are. And there's a big hill to climb, but it's like slow and steady wins the race. We will get there in due time, and I think on time, as long as we all sort of work together to make that happen. I feel pretty good about that.
I love that. And I love what you said about slow and steady, right? When you're working at a company with big dreams, that can feel overwhelming. I'm like, okay, how are we gonna do this in real time? And so being crisp about one step at a time, one step in front of the other. Great call out.
Can I ask one more really quick
Of
thing?
course.
How much appetite do we have to leverage, our competitors' ways of getting to where they need it to be? Because I know that I'm just gonna transparently share that out from the commercial team, support the commercial team. Of course, there's always this, we gotta take a little bit of risk, we gotta take a little bit of risk. And I know that there's a lot of kind of energy around acceleration, like let's get there so because it's always like, we go to sleep going, we're losing market share, you know what I mean? And so, what's the appetite on that? I know cybersecurity and the, welfare of our patients is the North Star. How are we leveraging maybe what our competitors have done and replicating those things so that we can accelerate us getting there faster?
I just met Anthony and
Oh,
so you're right, there are commercial commitments that we but at what cost?
Right.
Certainly not at the cost. Because we all know what happens. Right?
Okay. That's a great reminder.
So, that's the message, from me, from us, to my team. We work hand in hand closely, more than we have done in past. We want to be a part of the journey of success. We will be, champions in calling out where the risk is, and we also hold hands, like we want to go in that direction. Not what we want to do. So that's the approach we we are at a cutting edge technology, so it's not like anybody else has done this. And if you want to look at the competition, that's their derogative, what the path they have chosen. Their risk appetite will be different from ours.
That is such an important point,
Yes.
because remember, people wanna talk about competition, but do it in context. We were first.
Yes.
We are the leaders.
Yes.
We have the best product.
Yes.
Everybody else gets lunch,
Right.
right?
Right.
I really do.
Yes.
And we obviously have to respond to the competition. But we can't respond only to the competition. We have to respond first to our own better data, our own better commercial sales force, our own better, all of the things that we have. We should not cede those advantages to the competition. We stand in our own strength and we move forward. Woo!
Amazing. Any other questions from the people team? No, I just wanna say this has been so amazing. Thank you deeply, each of you, for the work that you do here at Grail, for the way that you continue to partner with the people team. We only wanna continue to support you and your teams in our organization. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Oh, we're gonna take a vote. Can we stand up? It's a better look.
Yes.
Plus, you're wearing purple.
I know, right?
From a different
Did you guys bring these in? The chairs? You guys brought
No,
the
it was
chairs
here.
in?
It was here already.
Just the white ones. Put it back in the cafeteria. Oh, you guys brought it from outside.
I didn't want to deal with traffic.